From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you to this Monday's edition of For the People on a July the 10th, 2017. We are growing and getting bigger, and only thanks to my generous audience that really has gotten behind me. And I appreciate that so much. But all we're trying to do, truthfully, honestly, is to give you common sense, water cooler discussion, the latest headlines, along with some thoughtful discussion. I had one lady tell me many years ago, I'm just wanting to have a thoughtful conversation. And that's what I want, thoughtful. I don't want to be yelled at. I don't want to be screamed at. I just want to know what's going on. And I thought, imagine if you'd be able to do a program just like that and do it every day and do it well. And that's what we do here. And, people ask me all the time, who do you listen to? I don't really listen to any other talk radio. I listened to my fair share growing up in New York City when I broke into the business at WMCA. I listened to a lot of the good guys on WMCA. And, of course, I know who some of the bigger names are. But you see them on television and stuff like that. But I don't try to really particularly mimic anybody. As far as formatics go and a special formula, I am myself, and something very magical happens when I sit down on the microphone. I can't even explain it. I was trying to explain it to my daughter. I said, I don't know. You just put the headphones on and you get a little news to talk about and you digest it over coffee and, 15, 20 newspapers later, you got a program, you got something to talk about. And it has to be reasonably interesting, too, right? I don't want to put you to sleep. I mean, geez, God forbid. Don't you driving off the side of the road? I'm supposed to be keeping you awake. And many tell me they listen when they're driving, some of you, and I appreciate that. That's cool. Now, if you get too disturbed about anything, okay, especially when we're talking about snowflakes and liberals like de Blasio in our first hour, what a nincompoop. That guy is just awful. He's just, well, yeah. President Donald Trump, his legal team, basically what they're saying now is suggesting that the meeting that took place between Donald Trump Jr. and a Russian lawyer with ties to the Kremlin may have been set up by opposition forces to try to create the appearance of impropriety. Okay? And those responsible for arranging the meeting with Donald Trump Jr. may have connections with Fusion GPS. It's a U.S. political firm with ties to former British intelligence agency and an agent, Christopher Steele, who produced the now discredited dozer on Trump. So we're learning a lot more about that. Senior advisor to Donald Trump is Kellyanne Conway, and here she is.
It's very obvious almost immediately that there was no helpful or meaningful information, and that the meeting quickly turned over to the matter of Russian adoption, which was probably the pretext for the entire meeting from the beginning. No information was gained, no action was taken, no follow-up whatsoever.
Okay, thank you. And that's what everybody else is saying. Royce Previs has said this, and so many others. There's nothing there, and there's no there. But of course, this will continue. It's very interesting just to see, but this could have been a setup. We have learned from both of our investigation and public reports that the participants in the meeting misrepresented who they were and who they worked for, said Mark Carleo, a spokesperson for President Trump's legal team. These developments raise serious issue to exactly who authorized and participated in the efforts for a Russian nationalist to influence our election in any manner, Carleo added. After pleasantries were exchanged, the woman stated that she had information that individuals connected to Russia were funding the Democratic National Committee in supporting Miss Clinton, Donald Trump Jr. said, according to the Times. Her statements were vague, ambiguous, and made no sense. No details or supporting information was provided or even offered. It quickly became clear that she had no meaningful information, Donald Trump Jr. said, and the Times also reported on this. And the encounter lasted approximately 20 minutes. The Trump team had no further contact with her. And so there's that. There's the information that you need to know, and that's the skinny on it. Hopefully this thing will just, sizzle down. But in case it should unite and ignite and Dems jump on this and try to carry this a little bit further, well, there's the information from the horse's mouth itself. Who do you want to believe? The lying media? Very sad news this Saturday. A longtime voice actor, best known for his work on AMC's Fear the Walking Dead, he died after a mid-air collision during a jump at a Southeast Texas skydiving center this past Saturday. The Houston area center, Skydive Spaceland, that's the name of the center where he was skydiving, said in a statement that the two seasoned, and both of them were seasoned skydivers deployed parachutes normally during a planned group jump on Saturday, but they later collided and fell to the ground, killing one and injuring the other. The man who died was identified by his longtime agent as Randy Scheel, who worked as a voiceover actor at Shell, right? Yeah. For 25 years. Shell's voice could be heard on commercials, on television shows, including Fear of the Walking Dead, and for various companies, including Geico. A lot of well wishes across the country, including his agent, Jenny Bosby, basically describing Scheel as a generous, spirited man who mentored many in his industry. It's one thing I could tell you about voice actors, because I am one. I got my start in New York City through William Morris Endeavor and ABC News after Ernie Anderson passed away. But anyway, great business. He had a great voice and great humanitarian, and he'll be very, very missed. These things are kind of unexplainable. How does two seasoned skydivers that have been doing this, and this wasn't their first rodeo, but accidents happen, folks. Accidents happen, and you know what? Some people say don't second guess how somebody dies. I mean, some things just happen that with life you're never going to have answers in this world. But our prayers to his family during this troublesome time, and the voiceover community will seriously miss him, and big fans of The Walking Dead. He did the voice work for that TV show. Unbelievable pipes for him. Really, really good stuff. The Boy Scout, by the way, is back in the news. Comey, man, this guy just, I knew there was something, and I've been talking about this for a long, long time. James Comey basically has leaked material, and now it's thought that there was a lot of classified information on the heels of this report, saying that more than half of the memos that he wrote dealing with the Russian-related conversations with the president contained such information. In The Hill, quoting officials familiar with the document, reported overnight that Comey penned a total of 7 memos describing his talks with Trump on the Russia case earlier this year. And 4 of them had markings indicating that they contained classified materials at the secret of confidential level. So it looks like Mr. Comey is in trouble. and not a very, very big surprise. Here's a little flashback.
Although we did not find clear evidence that Secretary Clinton or her colleagues intended to violate laws governing the handling of classified information, there is evidence that they
so many people are talking about this whole deal right now and weighing in on all of this crap. Chief of Staff John Sununu, he was the former White House Chief of Staff for the George W. He was on television talking about this. Let's dial John Sununu up. We got John?
He made it clear that he intended to give this memo to someone to leak and put it in the press. That's an intentional breaking of an FBI rule. So in a sense, Comey has even gone further than he was explaining that the Clintons had.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Voice of clarity. Thank you, John Sununu. There's a voice you don't hear. Donald Trump tweeting. He says, James Comey leaked classified information to the media. That is so illegal. This was tweeted today at 6:40 a.m. Eastern Time. So there's more doings, more happenings in the James Comey testimony. A special counsel has been tasked with investigating Russian meddling in the campaign and possible collusion with the Trump associates, even since Trump fired Comey, as you know. And then on the heels of firing Comey first admitted in congressional testimony that he had used an old friend at Columbia University, remember that, to get his notes leaked to the New York Times about the discussions with Trump. And then that testimony sparked Congress' interest in obtaining the memos. And now we're finding out lots and lots of lying. Just because you get fired from a job and because of his high clearance and from his service to the government, you don't think this was political? Kellyanne Conway.
He said that these were his personal recollection. He said as a private citizen, he really felt like he had to get this information out. So the Boy Scout choir boy defense doesn't hold up here.
The choir boy defense doesn't hold up. No, it doesn't. So James Comey is going to be raked again, and he's going to be questioned again for all of these particular things. Will he be prosecuted? Well, God, your guess is as good as mine. But I tell you what, it definitely, as Conway just said, the Boy Scout persona, there's a lot of people just, he really just appeared to be so squeaky clean. It just looks like he was just trying to cover his own anus and very upset that Donald Trump had canned him. They say that you really see what somebody's made of when you can somebody. Now, there's people that get canned, obviously, that probably shouldn't have been. But the ones that should have been canned, i.e. James Comey, there's the character. There's the Boy Scout. How much money that he actually got paid for the New York Times for leaking the story? God knows, because, newspapers pay. Oh, yeah. Oh, you know that's to be true. Right. But come on. You don't believe it? I'm just making pretend that you're answering me, but the fact of the matter is, I guarantee you he made some money there. He didn't just do that just to get the information out there. How much do you want for the story? You know how many newspapers would jump all over that? Of course, they made a deal, probably split it with his buddy. More For the People straight ahead. We North Korea, about that. And a praying mantis, you're not going to believe how terrifying those things are. Some news coming out about that. We'll be back with more For the People.
We'll help you survive this thing called